I've reviewed like, I don't know, several thousand video games at this point. I don't know. I have no idea. I've lost count. But when you do that, when you see that much of anything, you figure out, unfortunately, how similar it all is. You know, like you know how some people say there are only actually 7 stories, and that every book and movie is basically just retelling one of those same 7 stories? Well, I feel like the same thing's true of video games. Not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing, just it's a thing. So what gets me excited in gaming is when a game tries something different. When it just, anything, just something to break up that predictable, formulaic, 7-story malaise. You know, and even if it's just a new combination of those same old ingredients, that works too, and that's what this game does. Unfortunately, those ingredients are rotten. It's Speed Racer for the Super NES. This was actually a super interesting game to play, and that's because it's just constantly defying your expectations. You know, you start it up, and it's Speed Racer, so you expect it's going to be a racing game. But it's more than just a racing game, it's a Mode 7 racing game. So right away, expectations defied. And then with that information, you expect it's going to be a bad racing game. But it's not. It's actually a pretty okay Mode 7 racing game. Again, expectations defied. Then level 2 starts, and all of a sudden it's a platformer? And a platformer with a cool aesthetic because that moon looks pretty freaking sweet. So now your expectations have shifted again. This time to, holy crap, this is weird. This is gonna be awesome. Then Speed Racer defies your expectations again. It's like a defy your expectations factory. I'll tell you one thing they don't make in this factory though, tight platforming controls. You might be asking, well, why are we talking about the platforming first? Why not the racing? Hey, good question. Here's the thing. Before you get to race, like at all, you have to platform. So all the races, which are the fun part, are preempted by platforming stages, which are the terrible part. They control like you're walking on a slip and slide with shoes made of lube shoes. That's Speed Racer for the Super NES. But you didn't expect that either. Anyway, there is a story, something about a Mountain of Doom, which sounds familiar, Hobbitses, not sure where I heard that before, precious. Speed Racer gets a letter telling him to pull out, phrasing, and he flatly refuses to, because he is a colossal f***ing idiot, which is probably why this chick looks so concerned. From there, it's Mode 7 time, baby, and it actually controls pretty well. Like as far as Mode 7 games go. And it actually looks good too. There's actually a little detail on the road. It's not all one color. You know, there's some subtle color shading going on. It's not great, but look, it's far from the worst Mode 7 racing game that I've seen. In fact, after a few laps, I was kind of really enjoying this, It's almost like the game sensed that, because now I have to platform, which, again, it's an awesome idea, switching back and forth between the two, but the racing's the only fun part. The platforming's like it's like the Dead Marshes. Yes, that is their name! Anyway, you could maybe tolerate the bad controls if the level design were better, and if the combat were enjoyable, but none of these things are true, which at this point is what you'd expect. So the game gives up on defying expectations too. By that time, the hit detection starts giving up, and you just start falling through solid material. And, well, by that point, you've given up too. We've all given up. I mean, look at me. I'm talking about Middle-earth for some reason. No idea why. It's great to see a game try to shake things up, but this one shook a little too hard. Freaking shaken platformer syndrome. Thanks to Dent from Lake, Mississippi, for sending this to the show. It's Speed Racer for the Super NES. A day may come when this is playable, but it is not this day!